When it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there have been a lot of good-looking villains, from Tom Hiddleston as Loki in the Avengers to Michael B. Not all celebs are lucky in love. In fact, some of the sweetest stars have found their way into bad relationships with less than stellar people. Jordan as Erik Killmonger in Black Panther to Hannah-John Kamen as Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp to Robert Redford as Alexander Pierce in Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Put simply, being bad seems to look really good on even the most awful antagonizers, and those are just the ones whose faces we can actually see in the films. By peeling back all the masks and makeup of some of the other miscreants of the MCU, it becomes clear that the costume department had to work overtime to conceal much of the eye candy on display with these cast members. Hey, it's happened to the best of us. Here are some of the Marvel movie villains who are actually pretty stunning once you do away with all those dark disguises. Josh Brolin as Thanos to become the Mad Titan for Avengers, Infinity War. Josh Brolin had to sport a motion capture suit while acting out his scenes, and the character's violet visage was added in by the visual effects team during and after production. After all, love is blind, so it can be pretty dang hard to tell when troubles just walked into a person's life. Still, love must also be deaf, dumb, and delusional, because that's the only way these stars didn't run away screaming when they discovered the truth about their significant others. At least, that's the only way we can really explain how these otherwise delightful stars wound up tying the knot with alleged cheaters, gold diggers, control freaks, and not-so-better halves. And sure, there are two sides to every story, but the court of public opinion seems to have made up its mind about who's to blame for problems in paradise. Keep reading to find out which celebs entered some seriously dark and twisted romances. Sandra Bullock is beloved by most movie-going audiences, so when she got teary thanking then-husband Jesse James at the 2010 Oscars, we all rooted for them. That also made it hurt twice as much when news broke that James allegedly cheated on America's sweetheart. Although certain parts of the actor's appearance did make it through to the big screen, like the shape of his eyes, nose, and mouth, he does not share in Thanos' gigantic chin, hairless head, purple skin or staggering stature in real life. Sure, there were a lot of moviegoers who found the existence-snapping alien to be attractive in the films. The phrase, "THICC Thanos" even found its way online soon after the flick hit theaters, but Thanos can't hold a candle to the actor who portrays him when it comes to his hunk factor. Brolin, who donned an entirely different look for his other Marvel movie appearance as Cable in Deadpool 2, has traditionally handsome features and has even starred as the leading man in the romantic film scene as a result of his aesthetic appeal. Cate Blanchett as Hela. As terrible as she was in Thor, Ragnarok, there was no denying that the goddess of death was working it with that goth getup. She even made those giant antlers look good when she strolled into Asgard to claim her place on the throne and destroy anyone who stood in her way. However, Hela has still got nothing on the actress who portrayed her in the film, Cate Blanchett. The Oscar winner usually sports a blonde bob and has very fair features which, coupled with her strong cheekbones, make her look very striking. Although she has distanced herself from the pursuit of perfection that some of her peers have felt pressured into in showbiz, her beauty has been helpful in landing her brand ambassador gigs. "I just try to look the best I can at whatever age I am," she told The Cut of her approach to beauty. He didn't just cheat, though, he cheated with a slew of women, at least one of whom had no issue rocking Nazi regalia. That may not have bothered James, though. "I always find people attractive when they are comfortable with their own skin and not trying to be someone else, but their best selves." Lee Pace as Ronan the Accuser. Fans would be forgiven for not recognizing Lee Pace beneath all the blue and black facial makeup he wore to become Ronan the Accuser for Guardians of the Galaxy. The Golden Globe-nominated actor's mug was thoroughly concealed by those thick cosmetics, and on top of that, his costume was also fitted with a cloaking headpiece and a bulky bodice that allowed him to completely disappear into the Kree character. It's not the first time the actor has been rendered unrecognizable in a major movie role. In the 2003 film Soldier's Girl, he suited up in women's clothing to become the eponymous showgirl Calpurnia, and he also covered up his signature shaggy brown, due in ordinary human ears with a white blonde wig and elf points to become Thranduil in the Hobbit trilogy. His turn as Thanos' dubious deputy, however, was arguably the movie that made him look the least like himself on screen. Mads Mikkelsen as Caecilius. Danish actor Mads Mikkelsen had a really big year in 2016. He's reportedly been linked to Nazi-related art for quite a while, and some very unsettling photos of him in Nazi gear went public. Sources told Us Weekly that James is into history. The swastika deal is to scare people. Coming off of his fan-favored TV turn as the kidney and fava beans slurping Hannibal Lecter, he starred in 2 franchise films back-to-back, Doctor Strange and Rogue One, a Star Wars story. The latter would allow him to appear mostly true to his real-life form, but to become Caecilius for the MCU, he had to submit to some serious makeup that created a purple and grey raccoon mask effect to signify his allegiance to Dormammu and the Dark Dimension. If that didn't undermine his naturally rugged good looks quite enough, there was also the matter of his long, faux silver ponytail that aged him up quite a bit. In reality, though, Mikkelsen is indelibly easy on the eyes and was even chosen to model for several of Marco Polo's fashion campaigns. In other words, while the actor is more than happy to keep suiting up for whatever villainous roles the Western world has to offer him, he could just as easily pass for the handsome hero. Adewale Akinue Agbaje as Algrim. Curse Lost fans will no doubt recognize Adewale Akinue Agbaje as the drug kingpin who survived in the tail section of Flight 815, only to, spoiler, succumb to the smoke monster. It's part of biker culture. Bullock kicked him to the curb and told people via the New York Daily News, "The photo shocked me and made me sad. This was stupid, this was ignorant. Racism, anti-Semitism, sexism, homophobia, anything Nazi and a boatload of other things have no place in my life." Paul McCartney's marriage to Heather Mills didn't seem terrible, until they divorced in March 2008. Justice Hugh Bennett, who presided over the split, wasn't impressed with Mills' efforts to snag $250 million from the former member of the Beatles. "I am driven to the conclusion that much of her evidence, both written and oral, was not just inconsistent and inaccurate but also less than candid," Bennett said via People, noting that her requests for $400,000 annually for private flights, $80,000 for wine, and $250,000 for clothes were ridiculous, unreasonable, indeed exorbitant. As recently as March 2015, Mills was still insulting McCartney, despite being awarded $48.6 million in the divorce settlement. In Thor: The Dark World, however, the actor was very hard to make out beneath both of the costumes he wore throughout the film. She told UK's The Late Late Show that McCartney was irrelevant, saying, "When I go down the street, I get kids coming up to me, half of them don't even know who he is, that's why he's got to do songs with Rihanna and Kanye West, so people remember." She added, "You know, I own the biggest vegan company in the world." The first look featured him with a bleached wig and white eyebrows while sporting bright blue contact lenses, and once he transformed into the monster Curse, at the behest of his dark elf boss Malekith, his countenance was completely concealed beneath a hulking spiky bodice and bony headpiece. Although the actor does have some serious swoon factor going on in real life, though, Thor 2 wasn't the last comic-based movie to cover him up entirely, he was just as obscured by the scaly costuming and makeup involved in his turn as the Killer Croc for the DC Universe's Suicide Squad. Djimon Hounsou as Korath. Djimon Hounsou is probably best known for his impressive work in films like Amistad, Gladiator, In America and Blood Diamond, 2 of which even earned him Academy Award nominations for Best Supporting Actor. McCartney is just someone I fell in love with who to me was a normal guy that happened to write a few cool songs in the 60s and a few in the 70s. Mariah Carey's first marriage to record exec Tommy Mottola was the stuff of Lifetime movies, rich, powerful, and allegedly very controlling. Vanity Fair reported that Mottola, who was married with kids when he met Carey, allegedly wouldn't let her leave their mansion alone and employed security guards to follow her 24/7, even to the bathroom. He also allegedly dictated Carey's entire life, even telling her when to sit and stand. Before he became such a renowned actor, though, he got his start as an international model after being discovered in Paris, France by the fashion house Thierry Mugler. Soon after making a splash on Runway, the Benin, Africa native moved to America and started landing screen roles that capitalized on his staggering good looks and thespian talents.
For his appearance as Korath the Pursuer in Guardians of the Galaxy, however, contact lenses, a prosthetic headpiece, and some armored costumery took much of the focus away from his magazine-ready image to order for him to look a lot less likable. Mottola was also accused of sabotaging her 2001 album and film, Glitter. Though he denied any abusive behavior, he wrote in his memoir, excerpted by Billboard, that the relationship was absolutely wrong and inappropriate, and that he is truly sorry for any discomfort or pain that all of my good intentions inevitably caused her, and most of all for the scars it left on my 2 oldest children. Sure he is, but that still hasn't stopped him from talking about Mimi every chance he gets. Jennifer Lopez's first husband, Ojani Noah, probably seemed like a nice guy at the time, but when she became famous after they divorced, he reportedly tried selling her out. Even when portraying a good guy in a comic-based pick, though, he's been hidden. For DC's Aquaman, he has been given a reptilian exterior as the Fisherman King that bears virtually no resemblance to his real-life look. Alexis Denisov is another actor whose appearance was completely obscured in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Alexis Denisov, who portrayed the Other in the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy. He dished about their relationship on Million Dollar Matchmaker in September 2016, complaining that she chose her career over their marriage. To become the servant of Thanos, Denisov was trapped with multiple layers of covering, including a blue and purple makeup regime, covered with a wiry face mask and a hooded cloak. It seems to have worked out pretty well for her. No, that was only the most recent of Noah's offenses. In 2006, Lopez sued him to prevent him from publishing a tell-all book about their relationship, alleging that it violated a confidentiality agreement. So, it is rather difficult to discern the actor's appearance through all of that covering. In real life, though, Denisov is definitely a looker. With dishwater blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, and a pearly white smile, the recent Emmy nominee for his work in the short-form comedy I Love Becca and Lucy could just as easily have been cast as Captain America's long-lost brother as he was the Other. A year later, Noah was issued a permanent injunction forbidding him from criticizing, denigrating, casting in a negative light or otherwise disparaging his iconic ex. Let's just say that his wife and co-star in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and How I Met Your Mother, Allison Hannigan, is a lucky gal. Elizabeth Debicki as Aisha, becoming Aisha the Golden High Priestess of the Sovereign in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was no easy feat for Elizabeth Debicki. He was also forced to pay La Lopez about $545,000 and give her all hard copies and materials related to the book he'd been trying to sell, according to the New York Times. In 2015, Noah reportedly tried to release an intimate video featuring Lopez that was filmed during their brief marriage. Zsa Zsa Gabor's husband, Frederick Prinz von Anhalt, seemed to capitalize on her December 2016 death as much as he could. To achieve the look of being completely made of gold, the actress had to submit to a very unusual makeup regimen. According to The Hollywood Reporter, von Anhalt made much of his speech at her memorial service about Hollywood and about himself, even admitting that he met her because he paid a photo agency $5,000 to snap him with a star to establish himself as a celebrity, and that star was Gabor. He also used his platform to call Elizabeth Taylor fat when she was wheelchair-ridden at the end of her life, because, you know, he's classy. Robert Kardashian. The late Robert Kardashian married Kris Jenner in 1978, but according to her own daughter, Jenner destroyed his life. Khloe Kardashian said in March 2016, via Us Weekly, that she's committed to remaining faithful in relationships because, I saw what it did to my dad, so I don't want to do that. I also saw the regret from my mom. Jenner has said cheating on her husband was her life's biggest mistake. She told comicbook.com, "It was like a car wash. They built a sort of car wash where I sat. There was a lot of paint and a lot of sitting around and drying. It's quite an intimate process." Although she looked like a living trophy in the flick as a result of this intense transformation process, the actress is more like a runway supermodel in real life. She had an explosive affair with Emmy-nominated animator Todd Waterman, who says they were still hooking up after she got together with her second husband, Bruce Jenner, now Caitlyn Jenner. Kim Kardashian. Before Kanye West, Chris Humphries, and Reggie Bush, Kim Kardashian married Damon Thomas. Kardashian was 19 when they eloped in 2000, and by February 2004 they'd split.
While she's relatively new to the industry, fans have already gotten to see her in more realistic form in films like The Great Gatsby, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Everest, and The Cloverfield Paradox. Court documents obtained by Daily Mail paint a terrifying picture of the marriage. Kardashian accused Thomas, who was 10 years her senior, of poisoning her against her friends and family, urging her to drop out of college. She also claimed he was violent and slammed her into walls, pulled her hair, and punched her in the face. Her statuesque silhouette and arrestingly beautiful face had audiences especially captivated during her starring role in TV's The Night Manager, when she got to sport the same kind of red carpet-ready looks on screen as she might during a big night out in Hollywood. Michael James Shaw as Corvus Glaive, another of Thanos' minions whose appearance in Avengers: Infinity War did not quite showcase the physical beauty of the actor portraying it was Corvus Glaive, whose real-life counterpart Michael James Shaw is downright dashing, even if you would never know it from looking at the character in the film. When his face is not coated in gray paint and digitally rendered with motion capture technology to give life to the Black Order's resident Grim Reaper, the up-and-comer has a strong face and sultry expressions that are sure to make fans melt. Prior to Infinity War, Shaw might be recognized for his appearances on television shows like Constantine, Limitless, and the miniseries Roots, but even though earning a role in the MCU is a career maker for many, chances are, fans aren't likely to peg him as the glaive-wielding baddie on any ordinary day. Luckily, Shaw seems to have no trouble commanding a crowd with his small screen turns without all those pesky villain shrouds. Jason Flemyng as Azazel, it may go without saying, but British actor Jason Flemyng definitely does not have the same fiery red skin, greasy black mane, sharp spaded tail, or the poof and he's gone teleportation skills of his on-screen alter ego Azazel from X-Men: First Class. Instead, the actor has reddish blonde hair, blue eyes, and Caucasian skin. Kardashian alleges that Thomas encouraged her to get plastic surgery in order to become perfect. He denied the claims to In Touch Weekly and alleged that Kardashian was trying to get more money out of him in their divorce settlement, claiming she cheated on him with Jennifer Lopez's second husband, Chris Judd. Bethany Frankel's divorce proceedings from ex-Jason Hoppy lasted longer than her 2-year marriage. The pair tied the knot in 2010 but were separated by 2012, and by Frankel's account, the split was very ugly. However, it was Hoppy's alleged behavior after their divorce that was most unsettling. TMZ reported that in November 2016, Frankel's boyfriend, Dennis Shields, had his lawyer send Hoppy a cease and desist letter after Hoppy allegedly sent him more than 100 harassing emails about Frankel. In January 2017, Page Six reported Hoppy was arrested for allegedly threatening Frankel when she picked up their daughter, Bryn, from school in New York, and it was revealed that he allegedly sent more than 150 emails of various insults and threats to her and Shields, allegedly calling her ugly, old, and irrelevant. Christie Brinkley married Peter Cook in 2001, but by 2007, he got sloppy with his alleged cheating. Luckily for him, too, his eyebrows don't rise to a menacing point, and he doesn't bear the same facial scars as the character either, but what that meant was that he had to endure a daily makeup regimen that was a lot of work. When he found out he wouldn't be hired on for the film's sequel, X-Men: Days of Future Past, he was somewhat comforted that he would not have to submit to the intense makeover process again to reprise the role. Initially I was gutted, but then, I remembered I had to get up at 2 in the morning, I had to be painted red and be slightly out of focus and post a lot, and that was sort of it, the actor told MovieWeb. Now I don't have to do that. Tom Von Lawler as Ebony Maw. You'd have a hard time picking the actor who portrayed the Black Order's telekinetic baddie Ebony Maw out of a lineup if you didn't already know it was Tom Von Lawler beneath all the prosthetics. As Ma, he had a wide, long expanse in place of a nose, with speckled gray skin, wispy white hair, and almost reptilian wrinkles throughout. In reality, though, Von Lawler has brown hair, fair skin, and, of course, an actual nose. The actor has been seen before on the small screen with appearances in shows like Peaky Blinders, Love, Hate, and The Secret Agent, to name a few. However, none of his roles looked quite like this. The actor, who claims to have dressed up as the character while auditioning for the role, filmed his scenes while wearing a CGI suit and said that his son in particular enjoyed the results of his on-screen transformation, telling The Independent, he thinks it is funny because I look so ugly. Karen Gillan as Nebula. Nowadays, Nebula is fighting for the good guys after making peace with her sister Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Around 2005, Cook supposedly began hooking up with an 18-year-old assistant, Diana Bianchi, behind Brinkley's back. She started out as a villain, though, so she still counts for purposes of this list. Bianchi's stepfather reportedly learned about the affair and spilled the beans to Brinkley, who quickly filed for divorce. You wouldn't know it to look at Nebula, but the actress portraying her, Karen Gillan, is quite striking in real life. To become Thanos' least favorite daughter, Gillan donned metallic and blue makeup, shaved off her bright red locks, blacked out her already dark brown eyes, and added a few android body parts for good measure. They had a bitter custody battle over their daughter, Sailor, and a nasty battle over money, and he lost, taking home only $2.1 million of Brinkley's estimated $60 million fortune. Cook's subsequent wife, Suzanne Shaw, faced similar infidelity. It's really intense going through this makeup in the morning, but it's amazing. I think it takes about 4.5 hours now. After their split in 2014, she publicly apologized to Brinkley for ignoring her warnings about Cook, who later was accused of allegedly photographing women without their knowledge. I think it was 5 originally, she told Screen Rant of her preparatory process. But also it's so worth it, because I see bits of footage that we've shot and it's just so amazing, it's so worth it. Indeed, the result of all that time investment is that Nebula looks almost nothing like her real-life counterpart, save for her height and leonine frame. Ryan Reynolds as Juggernaut. Ryan Reynolds' ruggedly handsome visage was covered up quite a bit for his leading role as Wade Wilson in Deadpool, first with severe burn marks and then with his red and black head-to-toe costuming, but he was really unrecognizable as the villain Juggernaut. The character was digitally rendered with computer-generating imaging, but Reynolds did don some mocap gear to act out some of Juggernaut's facial expressions in his scenes, in addition to voicing the character. The director justified Reynolds' double duty as a matter of sheer convenience for everyone. Shaw even wrote him an email leaked to Page 6 that read, "To think you fought Christie, the mother of your children, for custody, knowing what you were, knowing what you did, trolling the internet, filming your prostitute." Ryan did some performance capture for certain dialogue bits. Covertly photographing, and so much more. Yikes. Anne Hathaway wasn't married to Italian businessman and alleged swindler Raffaello Folieri, but he said he'd bought her an engagement ring and was getting ready to ask for her hand when their world came crashing down. In 2008, 4 years into their relationship, Folieri was arrested for money laundering. According to the Daily Mail, authorities seized personal photos and even Hathaway's diaries from his Trump Tower apartment as evidence in the crimes. The tabloid claimed relationship problems surfaced days earlier when news broke that Folieri's charity organization was being investigated by authorities, prompting Hathaway to resign from its board. "I was devastated," Folieri lamented via the Daily Mail. "I knew as soon as I was arrested that our relationship was over because this situation was not comfortable for her. That was it." Robin Wright and Madonna. Madonna and Robin Wright were both married to Sean Penn, Madge from 1985 to 1989, and Wright from 1996 to 2010, and he's been accused of treating both of them horribly. People and the Daily Mail reported that Penn's jealous rages during his relationship with Madonna led him to allegedly physically attack not just her, but also some of her friends and business associates, when he wasn't in jail for other myriad legal offenses. As far as his relationship with Wright, well, look at everyone he dated during their marriage, some while on breaks: Celebs Jewel, Petra Nemkova, Elle Macpherson, Jessica White, and Natalie Portman all allegedly became notches on his belt before he and Wright divorced. And then he provided the voice, which we altered, which allowed us to, when we were sick in post, were sick doing some alts for Deadpool, he explained to Cinema Blend. It'd be like, okay, let's just switch into Juggernaut mode, try this. As opposed to, let's bring in somebody, wait for them, call time, all this. It was a tight unit.
Ryan's got another franchise. So, even though Reynolds bears absolutely no resemblance to the hulking and helmeted muscleman, fans might be able to notice a familiar expression or two buried beneath all that might and metal if they look closely enough. Jamie Foxx as Electro. Even before his bad day at the Electric Eel's tank turned him lightning bolt blue from head to toe, Jamie Foxx's good looks were still pretty well concealed in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. In the beginning of the film, he's shown as Max Dillon, a balding, buck-toothed, and bespectacled electrical engineer who carries an air of defeat, and Foxx's visible charisma, head full of hair, and otherwise handsome features are nowhere in sight. Then, when he transforms into Electro, he's especially unidentifiable beneath all the luminescent skin and eyes. Is it any surprise Charlize Theron got out while the going was good? Tina Turner. Ike Turner helped propel Anna Mae Bullock to superstardom when he took her under his wing and changed her stage name to Tina Turner. Unfortunately, with his tutelage and musical genius came reported domestic abuse, which Tina detailed in her memoir, I, Tina, and which was dramatized in the film What's Love Got to Do with It, 1993. Before divorcing Ike in 1976, Tina claimed his abuse was so severe that at one point, he broke her jaw. Amy Winehouse was reportedly in a toxic relationship with husband Blake Fielder Civil before her death in 2011. She married Fielder in 2007, which many fans point to as the beginning of her downturn into the drug and alcohol addictions that led to her death. Winehouse's former manager, Nick Shymansky, told The Guardian, "It was horrible to see her going from someone so tender and brilliant and warm to being kind of derelict and lost. I've been very angry with Fielder Civil in the past, but at the end of the day he wasn't a grown-up, he was a lost kid who had his own issues. Fielder Civil denies responsibility for Winehouse's issues. He told the London Sunday Times via The Guardian, "I don't think I ruined her, no." To create the look, the Academy Award winner was drenched in veiny prosthetics and blue makeup that was later enhanced with digital effects, and Fox credited the makeover with informing his performance. "Once I got into that blue, even my voice changed," Fox said in a Sony behind-the-scenes feature. "I think we found each other and certain people need to realize that she did have other addictions before she met me." It was more huskily, "You have no idea what it feels like," because his vocal cords had been burned. "She wasn't a happy, well-adjusted young woman. And I find it disrespectful to imply I was some Machiavellian puppet master." Robin Givens was a star on the rise when she met heavyweight champion Mike Tyson in 1987. "I would just look in the mirror for hours, just looking at the blue contacts and everything and then finally honing in, and found him." Ray Park as Toad in 2000's X-Men. Ray Park disappeared beneath a lime skin tone, a bright green spike, dew, and a slimy smile, but in reality, the actor doesn't look like he's hungry for any flies and instead has dark blonde hair, grayish-blue eyes and a bright white set of teeth. Being the amphibious bad guy with the dangerous tongue might have been a significant enough screen transformation for him to make, but it was hardly Park's most image-obscuring role. The year before he joined the X-Men universe, he starred as Darth Maul in Star Wars. Episode I, The Phantom Menace, for example, although it may be difficult to discern the Scottish actor beneath all those horns and red and black demonic makeup. The same was true when he reprised it for Solo, a Star Wars story. He was even less visible in G.I. Joe: Retaliation as Snake Eyes, the helmeted ninja who didn't speak. The couple tied the knot after a year of dating, but this marriage was far from a knockout. During a joint 1989 interview with Barbara Walters, Givens explained that she loved Tyson because he's smart. So, while his turn as Toad hid his real-life looks, it was still one of his least disguised franchise runs so far. Evan Jonigett as Toad. Once the X-Men franchise got the requel treatment with the X-Men First-Class films, the character Toad got an overhaul by way of actor Evan Jonigett. Instead of sporting green everything, the actor wore some binocular-style spectacles, a sharp mohawk, and a turned-down grimace with scales and warts scattered across his skin. He's gentle. The look was a far cry from the actor's usual image, which includes a full head of brunette hair, bright blue-green eyes, and a smooth-skinned grin. "It was quite a process," he told Philly magazine of his daily makeover for the film. "He's got an incredibly gentle side. They began by sculpting several molds of my head. The mold would be the first thing I would put on in the morning.
From there, they would fit in all of the other prosthetic pieces. It took about 3.5 hours in the makeup chair. Arduous though it sounds, Jonigett said it was overall a fun experience for him." Christopher Eccleston as Malekith. If you didn't care much for Malekith the Accursed in Thor: The Dark World, don't worry. The actor portraying him, Christopher Eccleston, didn't either. He's since admitted that he took the role as a paycheck gig but that the sheer amount of time he spent in the makeup chair ruined the role for him. "He loves me more than anything in the world. I feel like he needs me, which I like." However, when asked about Tyson's alleged domestic abuse, she was equally forthcoming. As he told The Express, the first couple of days it was about 7 hours, 8 hours, in makeup. "I think we got it down to 6.5. He has an extremely volatile temper, he's got a side to him that's scary. Michael is intimidating, to say the least. It's a day's work before anything. I think that there's a time when he cannot control his temper, and that's frightening to me, and to my mother, and to anyone around. Marvel were dishonest to me. Because they never, ever let me know that there'd be that amount of makeup. Indeed, you'd be hard-pressed to recognize the celebrated television star beneath all the layers of pale elfin prosthetics, metal armor and headgear, and inhumanly blue eyes. It's scary. He gets out of control, throwing, screaming, he shakes, he pushes, he swings. In real life, he's got much more muted blue eyes and salt and pepper hair, when he doesn't have it buzzed off for a moto dad cool guy look, that is." Benedict Cumberbatch as Dormammu. It is not traditional for the MCU to feature a titular hero in a face-off with himself, but that's what happened in Doctor Strange. Benedict Cumberbatch played both the time-warping wizard and the dark-dimensional uberbad Dormammu, although the latter was in voice only, though he did do some facial capture work for the role. Cumberbatch has claimed it was his idea to voice the villain in the movie, saying, "I went, look, if this is going to work, rather than being a big ghoulish monster, if it's some kind of reflection of him, if it's something that he's giving that's coming back at him in a really horrific way, that would be fun." A lot of the animation is sort of like a mirror reflection, a rippled mirror reflection, of him, of Strange. Although Cumberbatch is tall, that's about where the comparisons between his appearance and Dormammu's end. On the other hand, it didn't take much of a makeover to ready him for the role of Doctor Strange himself. Apart from the grey streaks in his hair and his delightfully odd costuming, he was very recognizable in the film's central part, even if no one realized he was fighting against himself there at the tail end of the pic. Ben Mendelsohn as Talos. A lot of green goes into making Ben Mendelsohn look like Talos, a Skrull commander in Captain Marvel, because in real life, the actor is an Aussie hunk through and through. Sometimes I think he's trying to scare me. Mendelsohn, who earned a Golden Globe nomination for his role in Netflix's Bloodline, has been working his way onto the A-list in the United States ever since his appearance in 2010's Animal Kingdom. Before he joined the MCU, you may have also seen his mask-free mug in a number of movies, including The Dark Knight Rises, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, and Ready Player One. Mendelsohn has been hailed for his performance as Talos, and some Marvel fans even contend his turn in the film might single-handedly help solve the brand's bogus villainy problem. "There are times when I thought I could handle it, and just recently, I've become afraid." Michael is a manic depressive. She explained why she stayed with him: number 1, because you love the person, and number 2, because you get accustomed to being treated poorly, so behavior that you wouldn't normally accept becomes everyday behavior. Tyson and Givens divorced shortly after that interview. He accused Givens and her mother of conspiring to swindle him for his money. Britney Spears may have dodged a bullet when she annulled her ultra-brief marriage to childhood friend Jason Alexander. They were husband and wife for just 55 hours in 2004, but by 2012, he still wasn't over it. The annulment was bulls ***T. That was probably the hardest part about it. I had obviously got my feelings involved, he said. Nice guys finish last. Look out for yourself. Captain Marvel does show a bit of Mendelsohn in his real skin throughout the flick, too, but between those simple spectacle frames and his uptight shield gear, the actor's rugged handsomeness is still very much concealed in the film. Carrie Coon as Proxima Midnight. Shortly before Carrie Coon joined Thanos' Goon Squad for Avengers: Infinity War, the actress was riding a career high with back-to-back celebrated small-screen roles in HBO's The Leftovers and Fargo's third season, the latter of which earned her a Primetime Emmy nomination. If you are going to really get involved into a relationship with a celebrity and you are just an average Joe, make sure you are thinking business. Of Spears' engagement to then-manager Jason Troick, which ended in 2013, Alexander said, "I think it's fake and I think people are afraid to say it." In February 2016, court documents obtained by Us Weekly revealed that Alexander spent 4 months behind bars on domestic violence charges in 2015, pleading guilty to a count of felony assault. Melanie Mel B. Brown, former Spice Girls member Melanie Mel B. Brown, filed for divorce from estranged husband Stephen Belafonte after more than a decade together. Belafonte reportedly had quite the rap sheet before they got together. In 1994, he was charged with receiving stolen property after allegedly pleading down from burglary and theft. In 2000, he was accused of assaulting 2 men in a road rage incident. That charge was reduced to vandalism. It was quite a surprise, then, when Coon was chosen to make her MCU debut in the film as Proxima Midnight, a part which largely covered up her increasingly famous, not to mention lovely, face. Coon's role in the film was shot using voice-over and motion capture technology of her facial expressions so that animators could then add in the character's gray skin, navy eye mask effect, blue hair and horns in post. In 2003, Belafonte pleaded no contest to allegedly battering his then common-law wife while he was drunk. The actress later admitted that completing the work felt lonelier than what she was used to doing, but she's since made light of how unidentifiable she is on-screen. He also admitted to bludgeoning a duck to death with a brick outside of his New Jersey home when he was a teenager. "To be fair, my face is in there somewhere," she joked. He reportedly fled to Los Angeles and never paid his court fine for that incident. His behavior reportedly didn't improve after marrying Brown. In 2010, he was allegedly involved in a physical altercation with 3 men at a London hotel, leaving one hospitalized, but he was never charged in relation to that incident. As if all that wasn't bad enough, there's everything that happened post-split from Brown. She accused him of physically abusing her throughout their marriage, alienating her from her family, cheating on her with their nanny, who he allegedly got pregnant and forced to get an abortion, and sexually exploiting her for money. Belafonte denied all of those claims. Their contentious divorce was finalized in December 2017. Kathy Griffin. Before she made headlines for her controversial Trump beheading stunt in 2017, Kathy Griffin was a pretty well-liked comedian, and when she married software entrepreneur Matthew Modine in 2001, it seemed like a cute match. That is, until they split. Griffin filed for divorce in 2005, and the alleged reasons for the breakup were sad and sketchy. My ex-husband, without my knowledge, was sneaking into my wallet when I was asleep in the mornings and taking my ATM cards of my own private accounts and withdrawing money, the former My Life on the D-list star told Larry King in 2006 via People. He admitted it and apologized, and we went to couples therapy. I really wanted to make it work. Unfortunately, we were not able to get beyond the trust issue. Griffin said she eventually decided to cope by putting everything in the act. I kind of turn tragedy into comedy, and I find that that's a great way for me to deal with it. Ali Landry. Mario Lopez may be charming on TV, but he seems like a bit of a cad in real life, at least he did when he was married to model and actress Ali Landry. Lopez confessed to cheating on Landry during his bachelor party just days before their wedding in 2004. He told Howard Stern in 2011 via Us Weekly, "It was spring break, everybody was hanging out. That was a situation where I was not mature enough and not man enough. I had no business of being in that position." Their marriage was annulled after just 2 weeks, but in his memoir, Just Between Us, Lopez poured salt on the wound by writing that he never loved Landry in the first place. He claimed, "Lightning hit me with the truth during that scandalous bachelor party. I wasn't in love. But I walked down the aisle anyway." Lana Turner. Old Hollywood screen siren Lana Turner wasn't married to Johnny Stompanato Jr., but she was trapped in an abusive relationship with him, and she claimed that, when she tried to leave him, he held a razor to her face and threatened to kill her.
In the book Lana Turner, Hearts and Diamonds Take All via the Daily Mail, it's claimed that the sweet celeb caught Stompanato, who was allegedly affiliated with the mob, in bed with her 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane. When she confronted him and told him it was the last straw and she was leaving him, he allegedly got violent and shook her. Crane rushed to her mother's defense and stabbed Stompanato in the stomach, killing him. It would be ruled justifiable homicide. But insiders later claimed Turner killed Stompanato herself and had Crane take the fall for the crime.